This conference will now be recorded.
Hey everybody, this is Dr. Doug Smith. It is Thursday, a little bit after 2:30. Time for our Monday through Thursday 2:30 podcast. This is the podcast where you hear the science about what actually happened to you and to others during this opioid crisis. Sorry it took us a couple of minutes to get started today. We're not exactly sure why sometimes the connection fails. I don't know if it's, my phone is old. And that may be the problem. I may just have to just go out and bite the bullet and update my phone. But I'm old-fashioned and I take care of my equipment, and my phone's still in great working condition. Anyway, that's not why you people are tuning in today. So today is the day we begin the upload of the chapter 1 to the editor. That's what Alex and I are going to be working on this afternoon, and hopefully get the first one done. Alex and I have been working on a whole lot, and you will be hearing from us a whole lot. You'll be hearing from us, okay? Because we've started the process, and we're not going to stop until the events are in motion that are going to end this opioid crisis. And what that means for most people, it means that both your treatment and your medication need to be free, and they need to be delivered to you. No more barriers to treatment, no more barriers to medication. Your treatment, your buprenorphine needs to be free, and that's what we're going to make happen, and we will make it happen. Part of that process is this book. This book is a very important part of that process. We're going to ask you guys to help pay for the editing of the book so we can keep the cost low. You'll be getting that email soon. But what I've been doing so far this week is reading an excerpt from the chapters, and today we're on chapter 4. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to read an excerpt from the current version of the book, from chapter 4. Chapter 4 is titled The Genotoxicity. The book itself is titled The Pharmaceutical Genocide. And here is a quote from chapter 4. And by the way, I like this quote. Here we go. That phrase in this study, quote, epigenetic heritability, end of quote, epigenetic heritability, should have set off fire alarms in the boardroom of every opioid pharmaceutical manufacturer and company involved in the opioid chain of distribution. Perhaps someone should have even explained it to the psychiatrist. Small words and crayons. What this means is that the damage to the DNA was potentially inheritable. This means that the children born to opioid-dependent parents could potentially be inheriting damaged DNA. Now, just so everybody knows, okay, that quote that I read, epigenetic heritability, that came from a study that was done in 2011, a study that was done 14 years ago. Okay, it's the Shorebob study. Okay, what Shorebob did was he got some volunteers, former heroin addicts. I hate that word addict, but people use it, so I'll use it. Former people who use heroin, and got samples of both blood and sperm, and looked at the samples of blood, and looked at the samples of sperm, and looked for the genetic damage called methylation. Okay, the genetic damage that the pharmaceutical companies failed to warn you about. Okay, now in 2009, okay, Nielsen had already looked at blood and saw the methylation. Okay, the pharmaceutical companies should have been issued a warning in 2009, and they didn't. They failed to warn. That's a product liability issue, failure to warn. That's why we're filing mass tort lawsuits. Okay, so in 2009, we already knew that the person's DNA was damaged. What Shorebob did in 2011 was look at blood and sperm. And what he saw was not only was the individual damaged, but their sperm was damaged also, which means that the genetic damage could potentially be passed on to the children. And this was 2011. Okay, we've got a study showing in 2011 that genetic damage from the opioids could potentially be passed on to children. And this was a study done in the United States. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, I'll double check it, but I think Shorebob is at the University of Kansas. But let me double check that. Don't hold me to that. Kansas or New York? I will double check that. But regardless, it was a well-done study done in the United States. Okay, and using modern techniques to evaluate the DNA. Same techniques we're using. Okay, and what he found is right there in the quote: the potential for epigenetic heritability. And so what I'm saying here in this quote, I actually like the way I phrased it. That phrase in this study, epigenetic heritability, should have set off fire alarms in the boardroom of every opioid pharmaceutical manufacturer. That should have set off the fire alarm. You got a well-done study done here in the United States that shows your product not only causes genetic damage, but causes genetic damage that could potentially be inherited by the children. And you do nothing? They did nothing, but made money. This is 2011. Think of the carnage that could have been avoided. Okay, although it should have been avoided long before that. The Nielsen study was in 2009, but we go all the way back to 1990 with the Dell and the Chang studies. That's where we saw that opioid withdrawal was associated with adrenaline toxicity. Opioids never should have been approved after 1990. And again, the pharmaceutical companies had an obligation to warn after 1990. You know, I'll give them a break before 1990, but after 1990, no, you got to issue a warning. Hey, this stuff's associated with adrenaline toxicity. If you've ever felt opioid withdrawal, if you ever felt the sickness, what we call the signature, what we appropriately call the signature disease, then you know what adrenaline toxicity feels like. And that was known in 1990. So the point here is, okay, as we begin the process of filing our mass tort lawsuits, these guys don't have a leg to stand on. Okay, they have no defense. They never had a defense. What are they going to do? Hide behind the psychiatrist? Okay. And by the way, my comment there, perhaps someone even should have explained it to the psychiatrist. Parentheses, small words and crayons in parentheses. I have no respect for the psychiatrist. I'm not going to hide it. Okay, they're not. They don't practice real science. They practice a type of science called pseudoscience. It's as accurate as your horoscope. Your horoscope is pseudoscience, and psychiatry is pseudoscience. For these guys to believe and want you to believe that they're scientific and that they're medical and that they have a knowledge of what's going on, that's snake oil. That's an act. It's nonsense. It's fairy tale. If you want to believe them, you can, but if you want to believe the astrologer in your horoscope, you can do that too. Okay, there's no difference in believing in your horoscope as there is in believing in the diagnosis of opioid addiction. They both have the same amount of science backing them up. And this is all in the book. I'm excited about the book. So help us get the editing done. We're going to send you some information. Okay, it's on Kickstarter. Okay, we got to raise $4,500. Alex is working diligently on this. Okay, Alex is committed, and I appreciate that. I know he's committed, and I appreciate that. So we're going to hold here for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to us, and now don't forget to support us on crowdfunding. Post this podcast on your social media and everybody else's social media. And Alex and I are going to get back to work, and I think Alex is going to be cranking up the email engine here pretty soon. So that's exciting. I think he's getting the carburetor put on the email engine now. Brand new carburetor going on that email engine, and he's going to be cranking it up and sending out some emails. So everybody look to hear from us soon. We'll hold here for today. Everybody have a great weekend. We'll see you back Monday.